Welcome to Furious Driving, and today I'm at the wheel of one of the cars I've been desperate to drive for a really long time. Something of an icon in the BMW M world. This is the clown shoe, the Z3M. 3.2 litres of straight six fury in a somewhere between pretty, somewhere between mad looking body. A tiny coupe with far too much power. The perfect hot rod, you might say. This car is currently for sale at Stone Cold Classics, so thank you to those guys for letting me out in it today to live my dreams of cars I can't afford. Then head over to their website where you can find all the details. Meantime, here's a word from our sponsor. Hit like, hit subscribe, then we'll go on with the review. Furious Driving, proud to be supported by Bidding Classics, the online classic car marketplace with more cars added every week. Diamond Bright, protecting, cleaning and caring for the Furious fleet and for yours with 10% off using code FD10. And Lancaster Insurance cover the Furious fleet. They are one of the biggest specialist insurers in the UK, covering all areas of vintage to modern classic cars and motorbikes. Follow the links in the description below. So yes, this is a holy grail to many BMW aficionados of the mark. This is a BMW Z3M, and like all of the best, most fun, exciting, outrageous sports cars, it's a car that shouldn't exist because, well, the manufacturer didn't sanction its production, but still, it went ahead. Think along the lines of the Golf GTI, the BMW E30 Touring, even the modern day VW Beetle. These are all skunkworks cars where excited engineers who had a passion for what they were doing took something home at the weekend and did something they weren't supposed to. In this case, this is pure classic hot rodding. So when the Z3 came out in the mid-1990s, it was riding on the crest of that retro wave that was crashing through the car industry, making all kinds of quite cool and interesting cars which were loved or hated. The Z3 though was quite an interesting one. It looked like one of the classic 1930s BMWs, and it was quite a cool looking car, but it was never met with the real kind of loving reception that you would perhaps want for a BMW sports car, even though it's a really quite accomplished car. Underneath, it is the E36 chassis, but shortened with E30 rear suspension setup in there. So it does actually ride and handle pretty well. However, in secret, BMW's M division were working behind the scenes to do something a lot more, to give it the potential it truly had all along. And so they raided the E36 piggy bank once again. They shoehorned in all the engine, the suspension, the running gear of the E36 M3 in this tiny cool body, which is amazing. To make it fit, because it's got a bigger track, they had to put a bigger clamshell bonnet to cover these huge wheels, which are now wider than standard, even wider at the back. So you've got the big flared arches front and back. You've got the side skirts down the side, and you've got this big bumper, which at the time was the pinnacle of BMW ostentatious, brash, in-your-face design. More innocent times, how little we knew. But this thing is incredible. The bulk of them though, by a fantastically large amount, were the convertibles. This one though is the ultra rare and incredibly desirable clown shoe, the hardtop version, the coupe, the shooting brake no less. Let's take a look around. Now, lurking underneath this big old clamshell is BMW's straight six masterpiece, in this case being a 1998 car, because the convertible came out in 1997, the coupe followed a year later in 1998. This particular car was built in November 1998, and that means it has a 3.2 litre S50 from the M3, and that makes 317 horsepower, which is a lot today, and it was masses in the 1990s. We could, however, laugh from this side of the Atlantic at our American cousins who were hamstrung with their puny 240 horsepower S52. Yeah. However, in 2000 there was a facelift and everyone got the same deal, because at that point all the cars went over to the S54, which made 321 horsepower, and it gained a drive-by-wire throttle instead of the mechanical throttle, and better mid-range torque for everyone. Okay, let's take a look around the inside of the clown shoe. Now, we have got frameless doors, which is always the mark of a cool car. Incidentally, we have got little quarter lights as well, so frameless quarter lights too. So semi-frameless windows, I guess you would call that. Door card itself, pure 90s BMW nostalgia. We've got the hard rubbery plastic at the top, we've got the leather insert, the small metal door handle, the discreet mirror adjuster, speakers sculpted into the door, little tiny cubby hole just there, and an ashtray in the door itself as well. Quite curious. Looking down before we climb in, we've got our M logo, of course, and the very big extended body kit sills just there. But what I was going to draw your attention to is the height of this doorstep just here. You have to step over, giving the car lots of extra rigidity, I guess because this was a convertible first before it was a coupe, so the structure of the car already had the strengthening in, I assume. Anyway, it means the car's going to be very, very rigid indeed, so great for road holding and control. Now, inside the car, we have got these figure-hugging two-tone leather bucket seats, which look really cool indeed. Climbing in, it is quite a step to get your foot over there. And we have got an amazing interior here. So first of all, it's a mix of grey and black, so black T-shelf area here on the passenger airbag, large grey centre section just here, excellent for T-shelfery, lots of room for bagels, donuts, coffee and schnitzel, all good. Moving over to the right hand side, we've got our dome-topped instrument binnacle just here and our chrome ringed dials. This still has the unleaded sticker on there, no one's ever peeled that off, that's quite cool. So we've got 4 dials, fuel on the right, temperature on the left, rev counter centre right, going up to red line at 7,400, and that even says M Coupe on the dial, which is super cool. And the left hand big one is the speedometer, going up to 170 miles an hour. A little bit frightening, isn't that cool? Stepping back from that, we have got our lovely delicate leather steering wheel. This is very nice indeed. It's got the M logo at the bottom because it is an M wheel. We've got a little grey highlight just giving it a touch of interest. We've got the horn. That's a clown honking his nose type parp. Let's turn that off. Right, over back into the centre, we've got this straight out of the BMW playbook, the big drum-like air vents here in the centre of the dash, rotating up and down, the big solid dooha, they're just there, straight from an E36. We have got a BMW cassette. You notice it's not like sculpted into the dashboard, it's just purely a singled-in head unit, just here in the dashboard, but branded BMW. Below that, it looks very much like a vintage aircraft cockpit with these multiple chrome ringed items. You've got the 3 heating and ventilation controls just there. You've got your oil temp, you've got temperature, you've got your clock, all in these little chrome bezels making it look so cool. Underneath that, we've got minor controls, heated seats, heated rear window, aircon controls, more heated seats, 12-volt socket, and a delicious snickety 5-speed manual. This was the only option in the car, there's no automatic thankfully. And then we've got another Allen key headed bolt holding it down, ring bezel on that, electric windows, hazard lights, another ashtray because you can't smoke too much apparently, and little cubby hold right there, which is all cool. Looking up above, we have got very 90s minimalist courtesy light, and we've got a mirror of the window switches controlling the glass roof, which is an excellent reuse of parts. Bear in mind this was, as I say, a skunkworks project, so they're just using the minimum that they could get away with, which is pretty clever indeed. In the back we have got not a lot. We've got the rear bulkhead from the convertible, which is behind us, giving us a little bit of storage in there. We've got ourselves a pull-up dog guard. If you've got a Labrador that doesn't get too car sick, he can ride in the back. Those speakers in the ceiling are fabulous. Those little pods are really cool. The mid-range and the tweeter at work just there. Let's climb in the back and have a quick look around in there. So around the back, it is so obviously an M car. Check out these quad exhausts. They look absolutely fantastic. You've got your big M badge, you've got your flared arches just sticking out there. And a nice little bit of chrome just there. Even a dinky little rear window. I wonder which car that is from, or if that's unique to this car. Inside, it is kind of practical. We've got a bit of space for activities, if they're small activities. Under the floor, we've got an inflation kit and a toolkit. We've got sort of a low space cover, and not a lot else, but it is sort of useful. You could use that for a run to the tip or to home base or something. Sure, it's fine. Right, let's get this thing on the road because I want to drive this thing. Right, now this is a car I've been very excited to drive for a long time. I've always liked the Z3M. The clown shoe is one of my favourite BMWs, and with a 3.2 litre, it is an absolute dream of a car. Oh, listen to that. Doesn't that sound incredible? Right, dip the clutch into first gear, really short throw handbrake. And away we go. Oh my word, this is barely even half throttle and the thing is just alive. It's everything I hoped it would be. Fabulous. Not even taken over 4,000 RPM. And it is just incredible. The original car was designed by a guy called Joji Nagashima, and it was a delicate, really nice Art Deco inspired, well, cool little roadster. And I've got to say, this is the ultimate evolution. The convertibles look nice, and they're a pretty looking car in Z3M roadster form. That's the E36/7. But this, the E36/8, the coupe, is just so much more hard edge looking. It's a really tight, snickety gate, not any room for error at all. Incredibly strong brakes, discs all round. Well, that's 50 miles an hour. It's interesting, these things have risen an enormous amount in value. They are one of the most sought after of BMW M cars around. But it's interesting they haven't really risen the same way that 911s have. This is a car I could just drive all day long. This fits so well. The ride is fairly firm, no doubt about it, but then you want it to be firm in this particular car, and you sit really low down in the cockpit, but it feels sports car low rather than uncomfortably low. The car just wraps itself around you. It's interesting where these doors just rise up. A little the opposite way of the Alpha 145 dips down so you can see the mirrors. This rises up to actually hinder your view of it slightly, and the mirror is kind of just slightly too far back to really see very much out of. It's going to downshift through these bends down to 40 miles an hour. That noise, that crackle off the exhaust is just intoxicating. It's amazing. At slow speed, I'm doing a 30 mile an hour limit bit. Even here, the soundtrack is just something else. It's like, oh, it's melting your mouth. Oh, shivers up your spine. Deliciousness from that straight six engine. Oh, I love it. There's no sound quite like an inline six. I'm going to hold it at 30 because we'll hit a 50 limit in a second. Then we can open it up in third. Open up in second, that's more like it. Oh wow, we've already hit the limit. This is so good. This is so sharp, so well planted. I wish I could find faster roads to drive it on, because this car just needs to be let off its lead to be enjoyed even more. Now, the build story of this car is actually relatively interesting. It was not built in huge numbers. 15,322 convertibles rolled off the production line, but only 1,112 coupes. So barely 1,000 of these built in the first place. I can't imagine how few are left today. But interestingly, this was the first BMW to be built solely outside of Germany, because they were all built in South Carolina in the USA. This thing is astonishing. It's like an MX-5 on steroids. The gearbox, now it's warmed up a certain amount, has really come alive. It was quite stiff before, now it's much more fluid, but the action, like a rifle bolt. Such a short throw and so tight in that mechanism, it's fabulous. There is no automatic option, which makes this car kind of my dream car. There's no way of spoiling it with a slush-o-matic. You've got to be one with the car at all times. You've got to be enjoying it properly. Oh, I want this car. This, I have to say, is probably the most me car I've driven on this channel, possibly ever. I want it quite a lot. Unfortunately, I don't think I can afford it. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this ride out in this absolutely epic little BMW. If you have, please, as always, hit like and subscribe and join us again next time driving something completely different.